Hi, this is David with EV World News. We're talking about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. I'm here today with Simple Pick stock picker Adib Khaldi. How you doing, Adib?
Good, David. Thanks for having me on.
All right, well, let's see what we got. It's always a fun episode, and we always, this is probably our most popular episode each week. And so instead of covering the news, we do a little bit of EV and AI stocks, and we cover a couple of crypto things too, because it's cool to talk about crypto again. And
Absolutely.
so, we'll see where that leads to. Let's start out today. I have on our list, I have Dell going first today. So let's take a look at what Dell is doing, which has been an interesting one. This has been kind of a pet project because we always cover NVIDIA and SMCI, and I keep thinking Dell is going to catch up, somewhere in there. And it's had some positive news, depending on the day. And
Mhm.
now we didn't do last week, did we? So
Uh,
we're 2 weeks again.
are we?
Or maybe we did do last week. Shoot, I
I
can't
think we
remember
did do
some
last
days.
week. I think we missed the week
Okay.
before.
It was the week before that. Okay. Let's see where we're at. All
Yeah,
right. So Dell's at 125
give
today.
me just a second here. Just loading up my system.
Not a problem.
Sometimes these things get so skewed here on a couple of my indicators. I have to always reset again. Right. So
No
that's
worries.
okay. Loading up now. Share screen. Perfect. All right.
There we go.
Oh, Dell is our first target here. Let's take a look. They did okay. I looked at their stock just the other day. Yeah, yesterday. $125 currently. If you recall, prior to us kind of announcing that one first buy on Dell at around $110, $112 when we first started covering them on your show, towards the end of March, they had a really big kick up to $135. You recall that? That was, you were so
Right.
surprised how that happened. And we covered them again on your show just last week, and they were as low as like $112 or $113. Kind of mentioned that's where you want to start buying Dell. Explicitly, I remember, we mentioned between $100 and $110. Here they are today, 125. So clearly the bounce has worked. The buy zone is great. Dell's looking pretty good for more continuation here. I wouldn't really, I wouldn't provide my opinion to anybody here to enter at this particular zone. I think, again, when something trades so near its all-time highs, this is just not my interest point. But if you're in long, great. You can continue to hold, and you can use the rule of thumb as kind of like $110 is your line in the sand. As you can see here, we drew this red line. I would trade based on that. So, depending on just X these out, depending on what your strategy really is, you'd want to make sure you maintain a position above the $100 or $110. I can't really go much more into detail and predictions. Again, it's pretty overextended. So, you're going to get some more continuation to the upside, but it's not going to be so easily predictable and so evident. So, that's probably it for Dell. Be very honest with you, David, but it definitely has room to come back and extend above that high that it did just a few weeks ago to 135 and higher.
Do you think it's better to just sit and wait to enter it if it came back down to 110?
Yeah, that's probably would be the only play. You want to make it maybe just see 110 bounce and maybe kind of bullishly be bought up by the bulls, and that's a good entry zone. Again, last week when we looked at this was like I think 107 or something around there, 107 or 110. That was really the play. It went as low as 114. I'm sorry. So that would have been really the play in my opinion.
Okay. Let's move on. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the stock that everybody's hating these days is Tesla.
Okay. Well, We certainly don't hate Tesla.
No, I know. I've seen the activity in the Discord. Oh
Um,
man,
Tesla perfectly got bought up in our buy zones. If you recall, David, last multiple months ago or weeks ago, about a month and a half ago, we bought around 160, rode it up to 180, exited. Last week, I told you that I was kind of in disbelief, a little bit shocked, more disappointed around how Tesla's performed. They kind of really gave up their bottom and fell as low as $138. Now, my line in the sand was
damn.
about 150 to 152. So I was shocked, right? And I still nonetheless mentioned that this is essentially where you want to buy Tesla. If the Tesla bulls let go here, it's probably done for, and below 135 is super danger. Well, hold and behold, Tesla comes in, does a great earnings call, or I guess good guidance on the earnings call, and they're bought up by their investors, and the bulls are stepped in, and Tesla's up 14.5% this week, which is a monstrous return here with a strong vengeance to the upside. So where do I see things going for Tesla from here? I think Tesla's bottomed out entirely. I think probably, your next buy zone would probably be just somewhere just around here. So anywhere between, 150 to 160, I think is a great reentry. I don't suspect this weekly candle, which reversed with such strong vengeance, is going to kind of lose momentum here. So this is pretty good. It signals a big shift in Tesla, definitely. And as you can see, the buy zones perfectly were tapped and reversed from. So I'm sad I didn't catch this one. I like I said, once my system sometimes loses certain key points, I like to just watch. Seems like the fundamental news is what was the catalyst here to bring this stock back from the dead. So I'm still I'm positive, bullish on Tesla. And like I said, anybody who's looking to enter between 150 to 160 is again your buy zone. 165 is a little overextended, but if your appetite's okay with longer term type of play, you want to get in here. And Tesla, again, as I mentioned like 3 months ago, it really wants to come back and test that $200 resistance mark. If it breaks above it, it's a brand new zone for Tesla. So pretty optimistic. I can't be bearish. I'm looking to buy some Tesla. So
Well, they've had weird news. So they had their first quarter in a long time where their year-over-year numbers actually declined, and that hasn't happened in a long time. But at the same time, they're saying they're going to get the Model 2, or they're cheaper than the Model 3 EV out. It's supposed to be a sub $25,000 EV, either by the first quarter of next year. And then they're also talking a lot about their robo-taxi and how it's basically, I think it's going to be similar to the Model 2 design, but people are going to be able to have this, robotic car they're going to be able to buy, and they're going to be able to like rent it out.
do you
And
think
so
it'll ever work?
I'm sure it will. I mean, there's already been driverless taxis doing beta tests on the West Coast and in Phoenix. And yeah, those weren't the Tesla ones, but I'm sure the Tesla ones are going to be very high quality. And so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I think I've heard Musk talk a lot about, in terms of vehicle safety, they're going to be able to make it so the cars can kind of talk to each other when they're going through an intersection, and you won't really need human interference. And they should be able to cut down by accidents enough that they can take some of the extra stuff that people have to pay for on the vehicles for crash safety and stuff like that. I think just make it so the crashes just don't happen anymore. Or at least they don't happen between the EVs. They might still happen with the gas cars, but they at least won't happen anymore with the EVs. So that's kind of a cool thing. But you just never know. And most of the stuff that we look at, we look at how to take positions for a week or two. So
that's right. Well, I mean,
so this is mostly swing trades, anyways.
Yeah, it's not entirely a week or two. It's more trend wise, right?
Right.
I like to take advantage of the trades themselves, but I also build my own core positions for the longer term. I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't tell anybody, hey, this is what you should invest in for the long term, or maybe for the next 3 or 6 months. But what I can tell the short term viewer who might be is looking to just get a little bit of an edge on the market by trading, or getting that play or getting the trend or things like that. That's what I like to kind of give help to. Just using our opinions. And again, we most of the times do trade them right. So it does yield a decent return that if you do want to build longer term positions, you start having that cushion for yourself. Again, like I've been calling the bottom of Tesla continuously for the last 3 weeks. Yes, it fell through some key areas. But had you listened to that, had you been buying at the 135, 140, 145, 150 range, you're up money today and you're sitting pretty good in a bullish momentum area. We never really told people to buy at 170. We told them to buy at 150. So that worked, right? That was a decent recommendation and opinion for you to start building your position. So yeah, I am buying between 150 and 160. That's my next kind of opinion recommendation.
Okay, great. All right, let's move on to Rivian.
Yeah,
Rivian.
It's dying, man. Rivian is dying slowly. I don't know. I'm just not seeing these pulses. Like they'll buy it up and it'll come up a little bit and then smack down again the next day and smack down again the next day. I will tell you this. This play is still in play. This May 2 $12 call. I doubt that it's going to hit. But again, it was more of like a lotto we took. It's very cheap calls. I think they're still at 5 cents. I haven't really checked, truth be told. But there's definitely a move in there for Rivian. And I think this is also the bottom in terms of the sympathy that it's also getting from Tesla. Tesla typically leads the whole industry, and then anything with the EVs, they kind of get like a sympathy play off of it. Obviously, the sympathy play off of Tesla this whole week for Rivian was just 4.5% in terms of a recovery from its downfall here. Decent area, decent zone. I'm still pretty optimistic. I mean, it is $9, but I still see like $12 to $14. This whole area being very, very high test, because when the drop happened on the 22nd of February, where Rivian lost literally almost like 35% overnight, $16 way down to like $10. This gap has yet to fill. If you notice right here, this gap has yet to be filled. Typically with technical trading or technical analysis, when a gap is created with a lot of momentum, if you recall with Dell, remember how I was saying there's gaps to the upside and strength? This is a gap to the downside and strength to the downside. Unfortunately, see, it's not coming back to fill this gap, meaning that the sellers are strong and trend is continuously gonna hammer them down. Well, it hammered them down all the way to $8.30. Okay. Do I see it going more? Probably not. Same similar scenario as Tesla. Type of like lose hope, need some fundamental or some catalyst in the industry to kind of bring the buyers back into the market. The last few days were lower volume and today was a higher volume. So this kind of in terms of the bullish sentiment here. So again, I'm cautiously optimistic here. My hat says cautiously optimistic. You will see that I would like a position in Rivian here. And again, I still see it running up to $12 or $14. Hopefully this call works out by May 2nd. So, we have about a week for this to work. But if it doesn't work, great. It's fine. It was a lotto play. And I'm going to still look to buy something around $12 to $14 on Rivian, because we stick to our guns and like to see that happen.
I was going to tell you, I've had some people tell me that some of the EV charging companies are starting to finally get past a tipping point where there's enough usage of the chargers that they're starting to be profitable. So I'm kind of curious to see. I may, in the next couple of weeks, try to introduce a couple of charging stocks to them, because I never liked the charging stocks a whole lot because. I was just going to say I didn't really like ChargePoint. Is a big one.
God, ChargePoint is destroyed. They killed this company.
Yeah. Oh no, I know. But the problem is these companies haven't been able to really get revenues. Now, all of a sudden, in the past few months, a couple of the companies have started to be able to get enough usage that they're in the black now. But I don't know that
Yeah, I mean,
ChargePoint's one of them.
look, I just look at this. David, on
Hmm.
ChargePoint, I'm sure I analyzed it for one of my students or members or something. Just look at
Hmm.
this right here. I have a circle right here, and I have no man's land.
Hmm.
And
Right.
what's happened afterwards? Stock. It's died. It
Just died.
died. Look, it
Uh,
died right after that.
Yeah.
It just died. You know,
What was
and
the date
sometimes
when you put the no man's land in there? Can you tell what that date was?
let me
Is
get
that
closer. I
October?
don't know.
Oh, that's
I can bring.
22. Is that 22?
Yeah, yeah. This is pretty old. I'll tell you when. This was October of 2021, and I predicted the upside here. And I think that when it dropped, I came back and I said no man's land. So that would have been just around November of 2021. That was the top of the stock market. Um, that was when the market was literally at the top, and I was shorting the hell out of the market that time. So yeah, seems like no man's land did survive, and look, no more upside. And I seen that from years ago, and here it is. Look at that, $1.25 when we were trading as high as like $18 back then. Might have maybe
Right.
month 30 bucks.
No, just tanked. No, I'm just
Super.
saying, in the EV space, I hear all these people because Tesla finally had a down quarter that
Yeah.
everybody's talking about how EVs are dying again. Because every time there's any negative news like that, I always hear how EVs are have died. But the funny thing was, every single other company that makes EVs had a great quarter. It's like even BMW, Mercedes, Volvo, Rivian, um, BYD, Hyundai, Kia, all these companies had new year over year records. And, so maybe for a brief period, they took some momentum. I mean, Volvo's got a really nice EX30
Yeah, I
SUV
seen it.
coming
I seen
out.
it.
Yeah, it's for 225. It's going to be sold in the United States for $35,000. You're
That's
going to be
pretty
able to
good.
buy a Volvo, and it'll be competitive with the Model Y, which sells for about 47 at the base. So I
Wow.
mean, it's going to be really good for Volvo. And Volvo claims they're going to make somewhere between 10. No, I'm sorry, um, uh, 8 and 15% margins, or 20%. No, they set up to 20% margins. They could be making as much as 7 grand on a $35,000 EV at that price. So that'll give them some room to play with
Wow.
and be competitive in the market. Yeah. But let's see. Let's see what our next stock on the list is.
Yeah, but just charge point, just to let you know, like I'm not interested. It's probably also bottomed out. It seems like it might be bottomed out, but like I'm just not interested. The shareholder value is destroyed here. This is not a stock you want to kind of buy when you look at month over month, just literal hell down. Like it's just why
Yeah.
would you buy this here? Why are you going to
Well,
be the catalyst to change it?
it's like a couple of ones I stopped covering, like Mullen Automotive, just because it's so speculative.
That's fair.
It just doesn't make any sense anymore to even cover it. Um, let's go ahead and look at
Yeah.
Lucid, LCID.
Hey, that one, disclaimer, I am building a long position in. So,
Okay.
uh, I mean, here's my prediction. Here's my prediction. And we're still on course. Um,
Yes.
3 days ago, 3 days ago, Lucid got as high as $2.60, but it also got as low as $2.30. So right now it's just lingering. These last couple of weeks have just been kind of like lower lows, in my opinion, which is not something I'd like to see. I'm seeing that there's resilience every now and then. Like the stock does get some buyers and it does end up being bullish in terms of like slight momentum. Like this week, it's up 1% or less, which is funny. But it's bottoming out, right? And this is where I'd like it to kind of come back into as a zone of interest. So Honestly, I'm just gonna stick to my guns here, and I don't know if I wrote it to the members or not on a larger scale. Let's make sure we didn't. So I didn't. So again, I'm just gonna put out my personal recommendation. It's purely based on my appearance on this show that I start to also sometimes invest personally in the stocks that I'm like, covering. It's kind of a cool phenomenon. I like to call putting my money where my mouth is. So buy Lucid anywhere between $2. Literally, I said this probably before. I might have said $2 or $2.50, but I'm going to say between $2 and $3. It's just very, very simple. Timeline 1 to 6 months. Price target $4 to $6. So you anybody who gets into Lucid should be looking to double their money or double their investment based on kind of my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. But this is where I again would start buying for Lucid. I mean, how low can it go, right? And I think that at the bare minimum, like I think it's at 3.5 million right now, or it's at six, sorry, $5.5 billion in market cap. I think that's very comfortable in comparison to all the other market caps. And one good thing is like they have their earnings coming up here on the 6th of May. I do believe that the catalyst running up to the earnings is probably going to, get them bought up. There's some headlines here, from high priced hype to undervalued opportunity, so look, it's starting. Why Lucid Motors just had a new 52-week low. I recommend you guys all go read it and see why. But from my perspective, I'm a buyer here. I started buying around like maybe 270. I'm just adding, and you know what? If it goes to two, I'll probably buy some more. I think this is a good undervalued EV to start legging into, especially where its market cap is just still low. One fundamental aspect, like let's just put technicals aside. Let me just pull up their financials here. Forgot. And I just want to kind of comment on their assets, and that's kind of like, why did they change this view? So when we look at their assets, I mean, they've got let's do the balance sheet, total assets, total current assets. This is not moving, right? It's kind of year over year. I have annual here, so it's growing year over year in terms of how much their assets are. And yes, they have liabilities and they do have debt and they do have equity that for shareholders, obviously that's part of the market that they have to attest to. But when you look at their cash, you can see that they have nearly, like as of the end of 2023, nearly $3.85 billion in cash. That should give you some comfort that this stock will be held in place at these levels. And like their inventory is like $700 million. When we look at their liabilities, I'm sure their liabilities are either debt. Yeah, exactly. They got some debt, and the rest is kind of what's the other liabilities? I'd have to kind of dissect and figure it out. But it's short-term debt, accounts payable, income tax payable, etc. So when you have not a super categorization in debt, and your non-current liabilities is long-term debt, so these guys are well positioned. You have $3.5 billion in cash, and you got a couple of $100 million in debt, and you've got $2 billion in long-term debt that you're probably capitalizing and going to earn some money on. Like from fundamental perspective and from a technical perspective, after the stock has been beat so much, this is where you want to buy. I'm take it with a grain of salt, but this is where you want to buy.
Nice. Well, and like we always say, what's the worst thing that can happen? The Saudis take it private. I mean, you've always got that
Exactly.
possibility. I mean,
Exactly.
I just don't see the Saudis letting this fail.
Yes, sir.
They really haven't had a lot of ventures, and I think it would look really bad for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to let Lucid, not work out. And so
Absolutely.
it's kind of been their pet project. All right, let's move over to SMCI.
They probably got some buyback this week. Yeah. So The play is over on the downside. I had mentioned that this is where I'd wanted to see it bounce at the $700 mark, and it did. It exactly did what I predicted. So, 20% move this week, monsters for super microcomputer. Where do I see things going here? I'm still bearish on the long term in terms of where the structure is of this stock. Great candle for the monthly. I have no position, nor will I ever touch this thing. It's just too overextended for me. It used to be, $200 back in December of this year, and it hit as high as $1,200. So, it's like 400% gain. There's no reason for me or any sane person, in my opinion, to buy this chart. My resistance point is right here, just under the $1,100 mark. So I would probably look to see a rejection anywhere, around 950 here, around like the fib levels, which is a 0.5 of the top, or anywhere at just under $1,100. So what would I do with SMCI? I would build bear positions, and I would short this stock around 1100, as I had previously announced, and I would short it again probably at around 880, all the way to up to probably 1,000, and price target 600s. So it's not the good short. It's not the best short, right? But it's also really an overextended long. So not really much guidance on this stock, David. It's the plays are all done. There's nothing really to do here. It's just anything you do here has low probability of fruition, in my opinion.
If you had a significant position in it currently, is there a position you do to kind of counteract this possible downside?
If I had a significant position in this, I would probably be writing covered calls. So I would probably be writing like a $1,200 call, collecting the premium on it, or $1,100 call, collecting the premium on it, and just nesting my position that might be losing value in the next couple of months. Because again, a stock is up like 500, 400% on equity. And like that's a big play, and that's like, this stock is sitting at 50 billion market cap. Like before its run up it was like 10 billion or less. So value is gonna get extracted back out of the market, and that's just how like the flow of things work. So again, the play is done, as I announced back at 1100. That was my mark for the top on this stock. The play is done, but I'm set to be shocked. Let's just say if this thing goes above 1100, I would be like in disbelief, almost like when Tesla dropped below 150 or 147. I was just a little bit like, okay, if they don't fix this right now, it's done for. Same thing with micro computer. If this thing blows past 1100, there's something wrong if it doesn't crash the next like couple of days.
Right, I got you.
And I just wouldn't touch it. I mean, it's just good for them. Hey, maybe they're gonna go to 100 billion in market cap, and maybe they have amazing news. And some of the news here, some of the stuff is mentioning them. They're on Bazinga and stuff like that. So I would read into that. I would encourage all the listeners to read into that. But again, this is not a target to make like a short-term play on. The plays are done.
All right, well, let's go ahead and cover NVIDIA next, and these two are very similar usually.
Yeah, I mean, surprising return here in NVIDIA. It's like kind of like what I like to call it. It's kind of like the bounce back from the doom. So the week that we announced this is a short, a bunch of people could have really got on board and made a whole lot of money just following the short-term price fluctuations. So today, what would I say? Well, it dropped 15% and it came back 15%. So almost a net negative zero here on NVIDIA. But I believe that this is just the influx kind of reaction by the market because they released some good news this last 2 days. They signed some partnerships and some additional, chip manufacturing and things like that. But if I wouldn't be fooled, guys. I will stick by my guns and I would short 900 to 950. Just be very cautious with how this is reversing here, but I would still continue to short NVIDIA at $900, give or take. So this is, and we'll maybe even stamp it by the date. So 4/26, 2024. So this continues to be a short for me, and I think David, it gives a lot of bears or short sellers the ability to enter here. By the way, the volume that dropped the stock here did not equate to the volume that made it come back up. What that tells me is buyers are about to get exhausted, and as soon as they get exhausted, you're going to see that drop back down to 700, in my opinion. So I'm gonna actually look to short Nvidia myself. This next upcoming couple of weeks, and as you can see, we identified the top right here. We identified kind of a short-term bottom right here, but I don't think it'll stick, and I think that here is going to be where it rejects to the downside, in my opinion. So let's see what happens.
All right, great. Let's just cover SPY now.
Sure. Well, the
508.
S&P, yeah, it's at 508 right now. Again, it's kind of like that jerk reaction, as I said, from when something drops so much. But don't let that fool you, David. If the S&P 500 does come back up, or SPY does come back up to 521, I will be shorting again. And if some of my followers were asking me today if I would take a short position, like on a swing trade. I'm not really into it right now. Why? Because the market could pull like a head fake type of move and kind of run back up to this fib level here around 520, and then begin its descent back again. So this zone is my short zone, so I'll stick by my bias. 3 weeks ago, like a month ago, when the S&P was a 520 or 523, I recall on your show I said, hey, if it goes to 523, that's where I want to start my shorts, and that's what we did. But I said if it goes to 530, I'd probably double down and I would continue to short even harder. So, again, I'm going to give that same alert back out. If it goes to 521 or 522, that's my greatest zone of entry, short zone. And I'll actually write this in red letters so everybody can realize what we're trying to do here. So this is where I want to short the S&P. Anywhere in this section here, I would want to be a short seller. So probably starting next week. Also like NVIDIA, kind of almost the same type of chart, because these things trade in uniform when it's the largest electric manufacturing chip company in the world, and also like the largest index in the world. This is where I would short. So yeah, I'm gonna look to short this zone of 505 all the way up to 520.
Okay, good deal. Good deal. Let's see here. Let's put this back on the stage. All right. Our next one is ISRG.
I'm actually kind of well, look, it's right at our buy zone. So if you recall, last week I said that it's not quite ready yet, and it's gonna probably come down a little bit, kind of like to our buy zone. I think now it's in our buy zone. So I would probably begin, if I wanted to build a long position into this, I would begin to leg in around here. I say, like I said, the 350 to 370 area is a great area for you to start your position. And you can keep buying all the way down to 300, like 340 or even 300. I think those are decent zones. Again, ISRG, I think, is poised for great gains. It's just a matter of entering. It's literally at all-time highs this month. Like this last month, it was at all-time highs at $400. I don't like to touch anything near its all-time highs. So you can begin your position just around here. It looks like it held this week, so it's kind of optimistic. But if it doesn't hold around here, you want to start buying around 340. All the way down to $300. And as long as this $300 like red line in the sand kind of holds on an upwards trajectory, you're good. So, oh, look at that. Buy between 265 and 365 long-term play. So I stick by my guns.
Yep, that's great. That's
Very
great.
little move.
Well,
Very little.
it's fun because I know you don't spend as much time on some of these stocks that I like to cover. And so when you come back on your trading view, you can see because you still got
But
your
I
notes on
still
the
believe
screen.
absolutely. And I mean, the beauty of it, David, is that like I like to always stick by my guns. So if I do give an alert out or I do give some form of like an opinion around something that I see is interesting, I'll go do it too because I believe in everything I say. So like I'll go and I'll take the same play. Now, obviously, it doesn't always work out, but majority of the time, again, on your show over the last 3 months or 4 months, they've mostly all worked out. I think 90% of the plays I've announced have yielded tremendous results. The only play that I can think of the top of my head that hasn't yielded yet was this Lucid, call or no, oh, sorry, Rivian call for $12 that I bought for $20 a contract. Again, when you buy something for so cheap as a contract, this is considered lotto. So we like to have fun with it. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, usually it's a big shocker in the market. This last 2 weeks, there was huge shockers in the market, political instability, impeding war, terrible earnings, U.S. Treasury missed on their GDPs, like just terrible catalysts that underwent, this last week. So, that's the downside play. And things like SPY, when we tell you to short the S&P 500, the largest index, you want to be very optimistic, cautiously optimistic in choosing your plays because, it would signal some form of danger. And this last month, the market's declined about 3%. That's with the recovery that it's been able to do over this last like 2 days. It's still down 3%. So you want to be very cautious. And like I said, I am famously a guy who predicted the top of the stock market back in October of 2021. As you can see by my chart over here, big old red sell here, short here, and then famously predicted the bottom around October and July of 2022. So I'm just following my chart, man. That's all I'm doing. And my chart tells me here we should start, the short positions. My chart also tells me that if the S&P ever goes to 300, you go all in because that would be a super catalyst for the upside for you to buy a discount, right? So, that's really the grand scheme of things. And today, we're more a short bias, in my opinion.
No, I get it. I get it. Let's do C3, which is AI.
Yeah, we did really good on C3. This week, I did a play for 100% return on C3. This
Awesome.
same call right here. Well, we did the 25%. Yeah, we C3 actually was up 10.5% this week since I entered the stock and covered it on your show last week. And I had explicitly said, David, last Friday, it is a buy zone here at $20. As you can see, look, April 19th, long between 20 to 26, stop loss 18, $24 call, 2 to 3 weeks out. I will tell you, give me 1 second here. We purchased the it's live on our Discord and everywhere. But we bought the $25 call on Monday the 22nd. So as soon as we did your show, the next day, what did I say? I said, David, this looks good. I'm gonna probably buy this tomorrow or Monday. We got on Monday, bought the $25 call that was 3 weeks out, so it was till May 10th. So it was from April 22nd to May 10th was our call. It was $25. The price of that call was around $18 per contract. We sold them around $38 or $40 per contract. As you can see, it's the highest it's been in these last couple of days, and we were able to capture a 10% move to the upside, guys. That play is now long sold, so it is done. It is not actionable anymore. and we made 100% return. So if you followed us or you listened to us and you bought the $24 call or the 24 or $25 call, you would have been sitting very pretty and probably doubled your position. So congratulations to anybody who took that play. Where do I see AI continuing to go? Probably to the upside more, David. Like I said, this is a bottoming sequence for me. I like this zone. I'd like AI to kind of bust through the $25 mark here. I don't know if it'll do it. I hope it does. But again, for me, the play is done. If I was to re-enter AI, I would. By the way, I still have some of those runners that we did. So we didn't completely sell the position. We just left some that are risk-free. So if the option goes to zero, I'm not affected. I already made my profit. That's a good way for people to trade. So I'm still in this in a risk-free way. If it goes to $25, which is where my target's going to be, before May 10th, those will go up to nearly $1, and that would be almost 300% return, or maybe 400% return from where we entered the option contract. So definitely something for everybody to watch and keep your eyes open for. And I'm optimistic. I think AI will get to $25 and probably above.
Great. Let's see. Let's do just for fun, let's do Greenland.
Oh boy.
G-Tech.
Oh boy.
Let's see how this one is. Oh God,
is it like zero?
No, it's $1.60. It's just not going the right way.
No, but it's holding where I'd like it to kind of hold. I'm telling you, it just needs to come up above this line. This red line that gapped it down here is a killer. But like, it's okay. It's surviving. Not looking
They
good,
never
though.
have a lot of news, but
good.
It's never bad news. It's always, they've always got something good going on.
No, I'm sure.
And
I'm
it's just
sure.
really hard to fathom.
I'm just saying it's 44,000 average volume, 85,000 average daily volume. I always comment on the volume, David, because when there's only $150,000 or $200,000 traded in the stock, you can't do much, man. Even if you buy 5K worth,
right?
Like you're affecting the stock, and
right.
When there's no catalysts, this is the killer with a lot of these, like manufacturing, industrial machinery, producer stocks. When they don't have catalysts, it sucks. People just naked short sell them. And look, it's barely any volume. Like if you notice the volume since your CEO buddy kind of decided to step in, he bought with a force. Here, these guys are naked short selling with nothing, like very, very little. And they're able to bring the stock down like week over week. Like I'll show you on the monthly chart. Oh my God, that sucks. On the monthly chart, last month it's down 30%. This month it's down 30% again. Oh my Lord. Like they're just hammering this girl. So I can't bring myself to say I would buy this, unfortunately. As much as I like to support local and people that might be in our network, it's very difficult for me to buy this stock. I'll tell you that. And all they need is just a catalyst. Once they announce a catalyst, I'm sure this will reverse above this zone here. So I'm still going to stick by my guns. I think this is the bottom on a lot of EV stocks, but this is just too small of a capitalized stock for me to buy. Here I am, like buying the bottom of Lucid at $5 billion and saying, you know what, I feel safe because they still got assets that are $3.5 billion, meaning this stock shouldn't really like die down. Buyers will still see value. There's billions of dollars there, but this stock is worth $20 million in total. My money could be like swallowed up here and never realized on any value. You know what I mean? So I can't buy G-Tech, man. I'm rooting for them. Good luck to G-Tech. If you're a buyer of G-Tech, you probably want to be buying anywhere here, but anywhere is above anywhere is below, I'm sorry, $2 or where was it? Like $1.85 is dangerous for me. So until I see it above this zone, I can't enter if I want to play this stock.
All right, let's do a little Bitcoin. Let's take a look at BTC, what it's doing.
You always get me on the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin's a big one. Let's see. So probably like cautiously bullish on Bitcoin. That's what I would say. So last week I had mentioned that I'd like to see Bitcoin stay above $59,000. It did that. It successfully got bought up. Right now it rejected 67. I'd like to still see it above 59,000. So anywhere's above 59,000, buy. Anything below 59,000, I would probably say be cautiously optimistic about Bitcoin. Anything below 53,000 is probably very dangerous of a zone to the downside. But I mean, honestly, Bitcoin is holding up pretty well. Look at these downside wicks. A lot of people selling, but the buyers are stepping back. These guys sold, buyers step back up. Sold, buyers step back up. Last week, it was the war between the whole political instability with the Middle East region. Got bought back up. So what's the next catalyst that's going to crash us to get back up? Probably it's done for. Looks like the sellers are tired, and you could see it here by this weekly candle. It's a lot less volume than the last 3 weeks candles. So honestly, this is a kind of like a bullish zone here for Bitcoin. So I sold my Bitcoin from the run up from 34,000. We bought Bitcoin around 34. We added a lot of Bitcoin at 39. Just around here, look at that, 39K. It's all public on my Twitter. You could see it. We were announcing the buys at 38, 39, 34. And we also announced that we sold at 63. And lo and behold, look, it's back to 63. So I feel good here. I'm not ready for another position yet. I like my profits. But Bitcoin is bullish to me. I'm not going to say it's bearish.
All right, let's take a look at Ethereum.
Sure.
And that'll be our last one for the day.
Yeah, Ethereum is just about the same. I went long on Ethereum most recently at around on the 20th of March at around 3,100. We sold it at around 3,500, I think, just under the top here, 3,500. I got out and it got up to 36. I lost hope there just in Ethereum at that time. I have a major bag of Ethereum that I've never sold. I keep holding it because I'm a believer in Ethereum. But in terms of trading is when I say I lost hope here. But clearly it got back up. And again, these are the wicks that have shown resiliency. Again, this was the instability wick where we had the Middle East, political instability and war. That proved to still kind of bring in the buyers. So where do I see Ethereum going up higher here? I think it's a good middle zone for Ethereum. It's going to go sideways for quite some time. But where you want to buy would probably be at the bottom of the fib. So if you're like a hardcore person that's trading and you want to make sure you get the best deals possible, you want to buy ETH at around 2,900 to 3,000, and your target is probably the last fibs up here, so 3,600 and above.
Okay. All right.
Oh crap. Buy at 29 to 3,000 and price target 36, 38, and 4,200. And if I see above 4,200, which was the local high here, or 4,100, it's probably going to go for its all-time highs, which was back in 21 around the top. Like I said, it's funny. If you see here, you see how I was shorting the stock market. I was also shorting the crypto market around the same time. It got up to around 5K. I think this here is a great time to consider legging into crypto. Like I said, I think it's going to come back up and retest its all-time highs. So I am bullish on Bitcoin and Ethereum, even though the charts are not very bullish. I am bullish.
Okay. All right. Well, good show today, Adib. And folks, thanks for watching and chiming in. And if you ever want to see us cover something, let us know in the comments. And you're always free. The chat is always open during the show. So we love it if people want to chat and let us know what what their thoughts are. Anyways, otherwise, we will be back here next week.
Thank you so